Okay, this little bit is about not so much creating music, but what I call reinforcing a track. And I basically reinforce every single track that I play live, and it varies to degrees what I do. So I might drastically alter the tempo. I might completely create a custom kind of karaoke version from scratch so that I can have an instrumental version. I might be trying to fix what my ears hear as a problem, or I might be trying to just add kind of light changes or light modifications. It definitely doesn't mean, it's not like a critical thing for me to do this, by the way. It's actually kind of like a sign of respect and appreciation. I really do it to the songs that I love the most. And if I'm reinforcing a track and including it in a set, it really means out of all the music in the world, this is the one most perfect song for this moment. So I just didn't want, any misconceptions about that because it is altering someone else's music. And in this case, the artist is Decap. The song is called Yeah, and one of my favorite fucking songs in the world. Decap is killer. He makes a lot of like sample packs, really sick drum loops and drum one-shots, and just a very talented and unique producer. Anyways, the second I heard this, it felt really familiar to me, based on essentially what I kind of consider for myself to be kind of a cheap trick, which is you take a melody or a vocal and you play it like this, and then right at the drop, you just start to gate it in a certain pattern with a beat underneath it. And it just does something different than if the vocal was to, just play unobstructed along with the beat. So I heard that, loved it immediately, loved how it felt like so halftime, like I'm suspended in time. And knew that I wanted to play it at New Year's. Our video team created a whole custom kind of honey-colored hummingbird for the video. And I timed its wings to flutter along with the gates of her voice in this song. And I just kind of had a whole vision. And so I'll kind of go through what I did. Again, this is the original version of the song. And the first thing I noticed was that there was no kick at the very beginning. The first downbeat just doesn't have a kick for whatever reason. And you can hear like the bass right there. You can also see it. Sounds great. It's big, it's warm, it's full, it's percussive and bouncy, but it just didn't go boom, boom, like the way that my ear wanted it to. So what I have first would be, I guess, his original version. And then up here, I have his original version processed pretty lightly with an EQ and not only EQ, but also varying kind of sidechain compression parameters so that I'll get into sidechain compression later, sorry. So this is the way that his processed version sounds. And then this is the way the final product sounds, minus the master bus. So there's my treated track. And this is the kind of beats that I built underneath it. Like I said, a karaoke version of the song. For the most part, when I reinforce it's just beats and bass, or just beats. As we developed the VLP system for lights, it got to be really useful because I would essentially play out all of the drum hits, even if I wasn't gonna affect them via audio, just so that the lighting team would have MIDI triggers. Again, I'll get into VLPs in another one. And just wanted to talk about, you know, how you take a song that you love, sounds gorgeous already, thin it out to kind of create space, and then build reinforcement bits underneath it. So you kind of have the impact of the original, which would go. And then the impact of the reinforcement. And I did do a version of the sub with much shorter, like a shorter length on the patch. I think it's massive, yeah. And I think, I used to have a little macro that would just shorten it up. But I did like it going kind of long. It just made the long sub note, just felt more, I don't know, like you're floating. And then, so I do color code everything, and it's arbitrary. It's just for me. I make my bass or my sub black. I use this color of maroon for other bass-related things that I just want to distinguish from the black track. I use dark blues for things that have low end. So there's just shit tons of impacts, both in reverse and forward, that create like suction and release. And you can kind of hear them pulsing, boom, boom, boom. That is because the impacts, they have duckers on them, both kind of split to treat basically two different slices of the frequencies. So everything below 677 hertz is affected by these duckers. So every time that my punch kick hits, it basically knocks out or silences or reduces the sound of whatever I'm ducking, and the same with the snare and the ka. And then I do different ducking parameters, ducking by the same elements, the kick and the snare, but just different elements, different parameters to the ducking. And pretty much everything has that. It just is a great way to create space. And I did add a little bit here for this demo. So we've got, there's like this guy yelling, hey, and I kind of retuned him. So it kind of sounds like a chorus of people kind of singing along. A shit ton of effect sweeps, of course, for days. The metal is just like basic hats, basic clap and caw, basic kick. I did put essentially, so I've got like, just to give you the rhythm section, without the fuzz, it's still fat. And there's a lot of sub, but also a lot of kind of mid-range, low end that I would call ear bass. It's just like bass you can hear even if it's playing on a laptop speaker or a phone. And I duplicated the sub and have this kind of extra fuzz layer. I'm missing my imager, sadly, on this new computer. I'll get into imaging another day. There's kind of a multi-band dynamic that is really crushing the mids. So it's making them quieter, and then I turn them up when they're kind of squished. And just by itself, it sounds kind of dismal and puny. but with everything together, it just adds more energy. And I've got this stack of synths, and they're going through an LFO tool to give it that pulse, and then I do have a filter on it, so it's kind of off in the distance, and it's not meant to be heard. It's just playing like different accompaniments with these 3 different synths here. And I didn't want it to be heard. I just wanted it to kind of go into the background. And first I created this section here so that it can just make loops, because in his original, he does wonderful patterns of, I guess, automation to fade things in and out, and nothing really looped perfectly. So first I just created a loop, but then I moved over here to kind of make 2 loops so that they can basically just keep going in and out of each other. And God, I fucking love that so much. The crap's going on here. Okay, so there was like little skippy hi-hats there that I didn't want, so I just kind of filtered them down with the EQ8. You can see right here, it's gonna duck down. To remove that from the pattern. I also made these cuts here. So that's just taking an auto pan and using it as a gate. If you have too many of these going, at least for me in Ableton, oh yeah, I loved that. That lower was sick. Yeah, if you have too many of these, technically it starts to bog down and they go off of grid. So I use an LFO tool instead, where I kind of use a magnet to lock it to the grid. But those are basically just ways of taking the existing audio and creating like new little leads. So you have her singing beautifully here. She just keeps repeating it. And then I have her kind of reverb out and then and then I have this little track that gives the intro, because I didn't want her just to start off going like, so I wanted the yay, yay, yay thing at the beginning. Oops, sorry. And so that's actually pretty lovely just to listen to by itself. Again, I loved this one. This guy got, I used, I pitched it down using Complex Pro, and I kept the formants up. So even though it's going down 7 steps, it makes it just sound like it's a different vocalist doing this kind of lower ah. One thing I hate about Ableton is the visual real estate is so limited, and there's so many boxes that stick up, and you end up just like with this tiny little window to work. And on this laptop without a big screen, it is just very limiting. But I'm gonna just play what I have here. And that's her singing down here through this loop group, and this kind of TOS cuts on top. And then all together, I'll just let it play. Oh, I'll just let it play. And it's also, of course, this is not mastered, so the master bus will be used to kind of squish everything together. I probably would add another gate to that as well so that it's going along with the other chops. That's where I really hear the fuzz too. Take it out. It feels darker, more solemn. The fuzz just sits really nicely. It's well saturated with everything. And then I think I did little edits here so that, yeah, so it rounds back into this. That just washes out. And that's that. If this demo of how I did reinforcements is helpful, let me know. And if there's tracks that I've reinforced that you liked from certain sets, let me know and I can show you how I did them.